All right, we're back for episode 7. Does anyone get what I am doing with my fingers here?
Think we might, Rita.
Oh no, it's not Rita.
Oh no.
It's a young
You're
man. Rita's
Rita.
so chill with her movement. She's like really thinking up here on how to plot and bring down Sam Bishop. But the person whose dramatics I am trying to match this
It's
week
Jacob.
is Jacob. The theatrics are coming out strong this week with our young, lost Landry boy.
Poor guy.
That man
Ugh.
has a lot on his mind.
All right, so another fun episode. I feel like there's some big shockers. I was left with a whole lot of questions this time. So let's do some shockers. Let's do some questions. And Sven slash Carrie J.
Shout
Shout
out.
out.
You're full of theories that you were just waiting to share. So let's get this going.
Okay.
Cat's the White Witch. Everybody knows it. We're talking about it.
No doubt.
Evie
No
knows.
doubt.
She sees the picture that Susanna brings out, which Susanna brought it with her to linger more. That's the White Witch. That's the one who saved us. Colton, don't you recognize her?
Right.
I saved
Does
myself.
Ugh.
Does he?
Mm-hmm.
So
Doesn't
shout out to
want
Evie
it.
there for just connecting all those dots and remembering that like image from going on 10 years. You know, like recognizing her from when they were little.
Right.
That
Right.
portrait.
Yeah, and underwater and almost drowning. Good Evie.
God, I just love her. Love her so much. Let's see. We also get into
Case in point, though, real quick,
yeah.
Colton never saw her because she
Mm,
was below him and just untied the weed from his ankle. So he may actually believe he saved himself. Though
yeah.
she pushed him up, but
Was
in
did
that
someone in the episode mentioned like getting pulled down by the weeds or like fighting the weed, right? Was that
right.
him? It wasn't like Kat just threw that out randomly. It was so he at least connected to that being pulled down and tugged by a weed. A little weird. But yeah, that's fair
Right.
point.
But then what causes him to be so weird in that conversation too? Because he's not having any of Evie's like theories and
Mhm.
like
He
daydreams out there. He shuts it down real quick. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
Theory number one.
okay.
Uh, so we know later, we'll talk about it when Jacob says that's the boy who told us about planting potatoes and rye, right? So we know Colton had to have gone back. He had to time travel. But maybe it was after all of this and this discussion with Evelyn and talking about the White Witch that he goes back and tries it again. And then goes back to 1814 or 18 whatever. Because at this point, he's acting like he's never traveled. It's not a thing that can happen. But we know he's gone back and talked to Jacob.
Okay.
So maybe after this point, he thinks, okay, well, I guess I can give it a try. And he does, and it works.
Okay.
So something to
So,
keep in mind.
Okay.
building blocks for more theories. Um, theory queen. No, theory royalty, I should say. Next shocker that struck me as we were like cruising through this episode. Sam and Casey's relationship gets brought up multiple times throughout the episode and is questioned.
What about Casey Goodwin? Is that a story?
We already talked about that. I can't say anymore, Dell. That's attorney-client privilege.
They're business associates from the summer.
That
Go
weird.
ahead.
He had that prepared or something. Like,
Lawyered.
what kind of a teenager needs legal support?
Mm-hmm.
Is
And
that
then-
even legal? I don't know. Okay.
Which leads into the next really quick theory that Sam Bishop is a Landry, which I know we've talked about that before. But if you look in the family almanac, there's a lot of Samuels listed
It's a common name.
in there,
Carrie.
right? But why would they show us that? You
Yeah.
know? And then we see, which Kelly, you're about to mention, we see the chess piece that Alice finds. And what is it?
Oh, a bishop.
It's a bishop. So
But
obviously
they
his
carry the bishop
name
around just
is
because it's
not
your
Bishop.
name. Oh,
I think that's what they're really pointing at too.
that just seems far too literal for me.
But
Oh, I
we're
have.
finding
But
that
why?
some of this
Where
has
else are
to
you supposed to go with that? Because why else would a chess piece and a burner phone be left behind
Mhm.
in the
right.
closet? That was one of my questions that I had.
So
Yeah.
Continuing on with the theory that I will never let go of, Alice, Max, Casey. We get to know a little bit more about Max Goodwin in this episode. Another shocker, he's a weenie.
He's pretentious.
Just cold, shut down. He's nosy,
He's got
aloof,
something.
and just like
he's a
thank goodness
trust
we get a
fund
little bit
baby.
more of a backstory and like reasoning like through Elliot in that later in the episode, or is that in the preview for next week?
No, that's this one.
That's the episode. Okay. We get like a little bit of understanding and perspective for him.
Really? But Max submitted your lab earlier. Said you really pulled your weight.
Ah, that's very nice of him.
I know Max can be abrasive. But I think the move to Port Haven has been hard on him. According to his dad, he was really close with Evelyn. Apparently, he's feeling the loss.
Max was close with Evelyn?
But still, I know how against my theory you are, Kendra. And this week I was just like, oh, don't you dare end up with him, Alice.
I was thinking
Ew.
just now, the baby in my eyes is still Lewis Goodwin. And so then they're gonna make like force this like Alice Max connection, and then they're gonna find out that they're actually related because the baby is still Dell's, because I'm not letting that go. And then they're gonna be like, ew, gross. And it'll be another awkward
That's some-
time traveling themed romance for Alice.
You just went
I
down.
have to shout out something that I could not let go of in this episode. Shout out to one of our commenters last week, threw out the idea that Casey is not potentially Alice and Max's child, but could be Jacob's child with a
Mm.
good win. And I started thinking about that and I was like, there's possibility there for sure. Something I never would have come up with on my own. So thank you for the commenters. Keep them coming. I'm having so much
That's
fun reading those and
interesting.
like expanding on like the perspectives and the theories and all that stuff.
I
So
twisted that theory a
keep going.
bit, but I didn't want to monopolize our early time with theories. But I do have a theory that Jacob and Susanna are the parents of Casey.
I was just gonna say, and how does it become Goodwin? Because technically Susanna is a Goodwin now,
Right.
being
Is-
married to
So
Cyrus.
then that threw out my
Oh,
other.
Casey's last name is Goodwin.
Yeah.
We know that.
Well, that's what she
Like
says
a-
it is.
A lie, because I wouldn't believe them. They're
It-
gonna cover up their name.
Hmm.
I mean, they say it is,
I
but
don't know.
who knows? But I also throw that theory out that Casey is the daughter of, or a child of Susanna and Cyrus Goodwin.
Okay.
And thus the baby at the pond and was taken away to protect her from Cyrus.
Ooh, and a like a purpose for the friendship of Susanna and Kat to continue on, and reason for Casey being so fixated on Kat.
Cat takes the baby.
Right.
I could buy it.
That's
I
funny.
could buy it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Okay, staying on topic with Casey. And like going from there, like they talk about there's a squatter in Evie's room, like someone has been at my grandmother's and left coffee and a chess piece and a burner phone. Alice automatically goes, it's Casey, not letting that one die. Alice is like very adamant about that. The scene in the diner, I had to rewind it, watch it multiple times because what are the odds that Casey just shows up, overhears this conversation between Kat and Alice about how Casey can't be a time traveler? No, Casey is a time traveler. Actually, it was me at Lingermore, and just pops
I
up and just like clears their alibi or like shares their alibi.
But what if Casey was hiding out at Lingermore while it was vacant and using the phone to make calls?
It's a good theory, but there's still no definitive proof that Casey was the squatter at Lingermore.
Except that I was. Hi.
I try not to be too judgmental, but I hated that.
It
Oh.
was so weird.
Also, we would have seen you coming. Alice would have seen you approach the counter. It was just so bizarre. And that they've made us think so hard these episodes. And then now that they're like trying to like piece things together a little bit, it's like, whoa, just being thrown in our face. It felt kind of like that the marriage comments, marriage material. Oh, yeah, lock it down or whatever. Like, just kind of
They're forcing me down a
little
path.
bit too much. Yeah. So I don't know. That was just weird. It felt strange and I didn't connect to it. I was like, everything you're saying, I'm not believing or listening to, or
Especially with Kat having to go point blank, like clearing the theories that like everyone is starting to brew and like connect, especially out like coming especially from Alice. Like, there's no way that Casey's a time traveler. Like, it's not Casey. Like point blank saying it like to the audience, like, no.
yeah. Like, yeah.
That was so annoying.
Yeah.
But it's not pushing me away, Kat. I'm sticking to it.
The more she pushed, the more I think the opposite.
Speaking of Kat, we kind of like get the aftermath of the power that she left behind in 1816 with her eclipse science magic. And your boy Thomas just really focuses on building a good name for that woman in this episode.
She protects the one she loves. She fights for
She's
the
the
one
risk
she loves.
taker.
The risk taker. Yeah.
Just
that
like
was-
compliment after compliment after compliment, like making her the good guy to the point where Angsty Jacob was like, I can never go back to my family. Ever. You should go back. Cat's all these things. I will go back. And then he
Mhm.
goes back.
And then he goes back.
And he
Man,
goes back.
okay. I mean, I'm on that note, I feel for Jacob. I'm just gonna say, I have no judgment for anything that character does because everything he's been through is just so bizarre. And I was thinking about it today. And I was like, the poor thing, like he can't even enroll himself in therapy to talk to someone about this is what I've been through, help guide me, like create my new life for myself because he can't even tell anyone. Like living with that and then having kind of like Kat, it's sad to see him kind of push away Kat because she's so supportive of him and got him back and like believed he's not gone, like believed
Yeah.
in his story and his truth and whatever else. And then Dell, kind of shutting it out, I think makes it even harder and like weird. And I just feel for that guy. So I just want to say, as dramatic as it was getting, that's my little MVP.
Well, especially also like bringing up in this episode, like he's got two people who are very close to his inner circle who are full out openly questioning what actually happened. You got Sam throwing out like things to Dell, like, oh, you want to tell me what actually happened?
Mm.
And then you've got Max, like, so what actually happened to your uncle?
Yeah.
It's like you still have like that fighting against you in your
Could Sam
day-to-day.
be pulling the strings in the background? What? Whoever came up with that theory?
I have no idea.
Could he be?
Never heard it.
Could he be? Yeah. Could he be the one kind of planning stuff or trying to dig in the background? And Max is helping him. Lewis is helping him set it up. Like they're kind of a shell company, and he's just hiding behind them and trying to
Right.
figure everything out.
What is his connection to those two? They're all, I
Right.
think I said in our last review, like they're all working together somehow.
Mm.
That suspicious qualities about them.
And if you remember, Casey, Sam, and Lightning, The horse.
The horse.
They all showed up at the same time, right when the discussion was Kat discovered Jacob's still alive. When that happened, then those three all showed up out of nowhere.
Hmm.
When Kat was hot on the trail, all of a sudden these three pop up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Lightning, of course, didn't have a lot of say in it,
Mm.
but the other two, I mean,
That horse really did make me
where,
wonder, though. I
where did
wasn't
they come from?
that storyline.
Guys,
Like
what am I missing? The horse?
Yeah,
the black horse that came on the property, and it was just so like, who is this horse? And Dell connected so strongly to it because she had a horse growing up, and I think had to
Okay.
leave it. But then
Okay.
it was like Sam Bishop's horse, and they kind of bonded over that.
Okay.
And I think
Yeah.
that was the only reason it came around, was to get them linked a little bit. But I was just like, I feel like this horse is somebody or something. Like, seemed like it was
Nothing is random.
but
right.
the timing of all that is when Kat discovered Jacob was possibly alive in the 1800s.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
That's good. Okay, that's interesting.
point to
All
remember.
right. Deli girl, Ken. Favorite moment of the entire episode. Dell pops in and like Kat's like, I have to go back and get Jacob. Dell goes, I'm going. I got a bag packed. I'm going with you, girl.
I'm gonna go with you.
Are you sure?
Yes.
She did. Woo!
Round of applause for Dell showing up.
And to the extreme. It wasn't even just like, hey, let's talk. It was like, or let
I'm
me tell
going
you some
to.
things. It was,
Stay out of my
I'm
memories.
in the pond.
Let's
Like,
go jump
what?
into my memories together.
And
Yeah,
in
like, can I go?
true the way home fashion, that rug was pulled out from underneath her like that because
Jacob came home.
Get out of here, Jacob.
On his own, which is
There's
not,
bonding happening.
yeah, but at least it wasn't like forced or anything. It was just he came home on his own. But she did it. She did it. Dell, I got to talk about her a little bit, but
I was just gonna say it's not all positives with her, and round of applause, Ziz.
but
But
That
she
little
did
quote
that.
that we had of her in the 70s as she's like saying goodbye on her last day.
it wasn't so bad though. Her arc is coming around.
It's finally, the tides are turning, I think, and it feels great, and I'm proud of her. So anyone who's been following my journey with her and my heartbreak and whatever else, we're doing okay. I was a little surprised with her letters. She finally shared that the letters are a thing, right?
With
She-
who?
Anybody, but she told Rita of all people, the gossip. And was it just an easy, like that's a friend, it's someone easy to talk to, rather than like if I tell Kat or Alice, it's a whole unveiling mystery, they're gonna get into my business. But then like Rita is like just like that too, searching for details. Like, so I don't know, I was kind of surprised by that whole thing.
I think Rita though was a good choice because she's kind of removed from the family and the day to day. So it'd be a good person to kind of bounce that off of without telling her what actually happened. Because she could show her those and not say, well, Jacob fell into a pond and time traveled.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't have to say that.
Does her showing Rita those letters confirm that she really doesn't know what they're about? Because I always assume Dell knows. Like, she's got people coming for her. She wants to cover up her tracks even more and not tell the family because it's like some secret is exposed and someone knows. But then if she's telling someone else, it's like, is she really oblivious? Kelly, you tell me every week, don't think that. But it does. What
That brings up a good point.
is she really unsure? Who could this be? What could it possibly be about?
See, that's the nice thing about this and having these discussions is my point of view. I took that as she made herself sound like she really didn't know what she was talking about because she doesn't want to tell Rita the truth.
But then why start the conversation with Rita at all?
Burn the letters. Yeah.
I,
What
I
is she
think it
gonna
was
get out of
more
it?
of a, it finally boiled over and she had to tell somebody.
Mm.
And it was a good way for the writers to bring the Sam Bishop thing into play and what he was doing in Toronto.
Snooping around, instantly getting the dirt, sharing the business,
Mhm.
sending links to articles for Dell to read. And I was like,
See,
what's this court case, Sam?
and maybe that's why Dell did it because she knew Rita might do a little digging without knowing the full truth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Which makes me think that like the comment that Casey made about receiving like legal advice and counseling from Sam and that comment that they made of like the Landries, I just owe them so much for the help that like they've given me and my family and all this stuff. Like something has to be linking all of that rather than throwing in a whole other stem of plot events to add
Mhm.
to everything else that is missing, like the baby, Grandma Fern. Where is she?
Where'd she go?
Like all the
And the
things that are so
dog.
flying around from this season. They can't add another strand.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely is about tying up some loose ends. I think in the second half of episodes, yeah, we'll have our cliffhangers and like our shockers and oh my gosh and things unanswered.
I do think you're totally onto something, Sven, about like Sam's like true identity or where he falls in a chronological timeline, as well as like the Landry, Goodwin, why can I never remember Elliot Augustine? Like that whole time, like who are you? You're clearly a piece in the game. Hence
Right.
the pitch.
A piece
I
in
think
the
I
that'll be
game.
a
just
huge
I just have to believe they
surprise me.
showed us that newspaper article that Rita sent and the link for a reason.
Yeah,
There's got to be something there.
Mhm.
totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, all right. So yeah, Sam's creepy,
Yeah.
period. Makes me uncomfortable
Yeah.
every time he talks.
I liked him just because of that. I've said before, like he opens Dell up a little bit and finally gives us a little more clues. But now I'm just like, no, you're not doing it. He is scary.
Just makes me uncomfortable. Then when he has the audacity to start like questioning Dell and Jacob and like press back on her, it's just like, ew. And the Dell Spice came out. She goes,
Uh-huh.
I have to tell you a little thing about mother-son confidentiality. Like, that's right. All right. So we keep thinking about like kind of these, where are we at here? All right, pause. Okay. Huge things in the last like, yeah, huge things to get to in like those last 10 minutes of the show, like shocker after shocker after shocker. Like, I thought I think the biggest shocker for me in this episode was how nonchalant Kat and Elliot are in
We
their feelings
talked
towards each
about
other.
that.
Like there were multiple times in all this, I was like, do you guys even like each other?
Hell
Like at
yeah, I
all?
have a thought.
No.
I
They
have a
don't.
thought.
Let's
I
hear
think
it.
I think I brought this up last week. When Elliot overheard Kat tell Brady this
Mm,
living situation is temporary. And no, they never talked about that or like never came up again. I don't even know
addressed it.
he meant by that myself. So I think it's been in his head once again because it's already been in his head forever. She doesn't want me, or like probably
Mhm.
believe like, oh yeah, this isn't gonna last. So conveniently, Emma comes and he's like, oh, I'm not interested in her,
But I'm
but
wanted.
it makes I connect with what's happening here. And again, I don't think he like kissed her, but she kissed him and it wasn't like, whoa. So I don't feel like he's at fault for anything, but like he wasn't mad about that, I don't think. So I think knowing that and like knowing he had that insecurity with Thomas too. He's brought that up, like, you're in love with Thomas. And then she's like, no, I choose you. And she's going back to that time. I think he's just knows how this
Waiting.
goes. And I think he wasn't telling Kat, but then he finally did like, Emma kissed me or I kissed Emma or whatever. And I think he did that to hope for a reaction of like, what? Because if I get mad, that means I care. And
He
she,
gave
on the
nothing.
other hand, had like no real response. I think because there's so much going on, and it's kind of like, dude, I'm kind of maxed out. Like, I can't even take this in, kind of a thing. Or if she's also, thinking about other things or whatever.
Right.
Like it was already weird with Emma there. So it's just like, was this ever really done? Like, might be in her head and like
They're
all of
just like
that. So I think they still
a
like
game
each
of
other, but
poker.
it's weird.
I
Yeah.
Of
can't.
just like who can care less? Like, especially when it's like,
Because they're
well, what happens now?
insecure. Yeah. Their relationship has never been like steady or like both sided or anything. So I feel like, yeah, it's just kind of playing games, but unintentionally.
I
But
can't get past the fact that Kat even reacted the way she did.
So logically, I'm just
But
like,
it's in her mind, she's been fantasizing over Thomas. She knows she's in love with Susanna. Why is she even with Elliot? Poor Elliot, let him go, which I think she's starting to
yeah,
do by moving back home. But the whole time, like when he's just wrestling with the idea of telling her that he kissed Emma, all I keep thinking of is what's going through Kat's head. She's not there with you. She's in Thomas land. She's in Susanna land.
I'm
She's
like, good.
not
I'm
there
glad you
with
had
you
someone to keep you busy.
in this relationship. It shouldn't be as big of a thing for Kat, which it's shown it wasn't.
mhm.
And that, should tell Elliot something too, that she's not here. She's not present in this relationship.
Yeah. She's
It's
not
time
here.
to
Yeah, she's not here.
move on and
Yeah.
just
But she gets that hubba hubba kiss with Thomas Coyle at the end.
oh,
Elliot kissed somebody else. He- Elliot kissed somebody else. And I...
Now so have you.
right.
Elliot kissed someone else. And now so have
And
you.
now so have you.
That was so great. I like how she also just said Elliot, like he knew. And I was like, does he know? I couldn't remember what they talked about, but I was like, oh, they are more connected than I thought, like her and Thomas. So that's
But
nice.
I had a hard time looking at that as okay, Elliot did it. You said you're moving out, so now you're free to kiss Thomas and everything's okay. I didn't look at it like that. I looked at it like she's been lusting after this man for how long? So to me, that's almost worse than,
Hmm.
a stolen kiss here or there.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure. Her, like she was, I think, like, ooh, that was cool. I do think Thomas takes the responsibility in that. Like he
Oh,
He
I
initiated
think
does.
he's
that,
been
100%.
just
and
head over
he's been
heels.
waiting. He was like, let's go. I've got this. Like now we can just even it. And it's still innocent. It's not like Kat did something bad. It's just now it's more of that even again though, like poking, who can care less, but like
Mm.
it feels a little, yeah, sadly immature or something.
And
But
it was that way because he did it knowing that he was going to push her to go back. He was going to try and convince her. He knew that already. And so it wasn't a kiss of, ooh, look at our hot passion, stick around, live with me here. It was
choose
more
me.
there. Now you're on an even
Oh, I
footing.
take it the exact opposite way. I think he has been waiting for his opportunity and just like loving her ever since last season. Like, and then she just keeps doing thing after thing after thing to be like, God, I'm good. Love me, Thomas. Her witchcraft and saving all of them. And all he needed was that one little thing, like Elliot messed up, and he's like,
This is my
oh my
moment.
God.
Hmm.
Now so have you. He's like, now what? Now what are we gonna do?
Right?
Way he talks so highly about her and just he is
Yeah,
head over heels in love with that woman.
For sure. I don't think he has an expectation.
Mm.
Like I don't, or a motive, or like I'm gonna win her over. I think it's just I'm gonna enjoy what I got here when I have it, when she pops in, and I'm a good person and
I
I
love her too much. I can't not kiss her.
genuinely like her, whatever. Yeah.
All right. And then we find out that young Colton has, in fact, been to 1814.
Yeah.
That's confirmed. Uh,
By Jacob. I
um,
do think Jacob will go back. Like, yeah, we see the sketch and things, but with the conversation he had with Dell, he said something that was a cool line, like, we're the only two that didn't get our extra time with him. Or maybe he said it to Elliot or something.
no, he said it to Dell, but then talked to Alice later.
Elliot.
Also, she was like,
Okay.
go, go jump. Like, go
Yeah.
find him.
So I
But
think he's gonna get his special
I'm
time.
not ready yet.
but then she also said the thing that Kendra, you talked about earlier. She said, when I have problems like this, I go and talk to somebody. You should go talk to him. And that's Elliot. So Elliot is the therapist that these people are talking to.
Mm,
And it helps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was a very good bonding moment between the two of them, between
That was-
Elliot and Jacob, and talking about the clock, which
yeah.
Jacob is going to fix and
Uh,
going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Ask
Yeah.
her what.
another loose end.
Right.
Yeah.
Also,
But
can
appreciate
somebody,
your outfit.
either of you two, myself, or anybody watching, comment down below? Go back and watch season 3, episode 1 with the baby in the pond. There's a theory that the blanket that was wrapped around the baby was the same blanket wrapped around the clock in the wall.
Hmm.
We need to see if that is the same one.
All right.
If that is, that's a huge clue to something. So we need to check that out.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
All right.
Can I bring up a topic that we didn't talk about?
Go for
Yeah.
it.
My shout out.
Let's hear it.
Hey, we
Nick,
gotta talk about Nick. Yeah.
Nick.
So Nick is not like leading my question section.
Oh, okay. Then we can,
So go
we can
ahead.
jump into your questions.
You do yours first.
No, I was just going to say that I have a theory. I've said before that Nick could be the baby in the basket because he's the
Oh
only
my
active
God, I
character
forgot about that.
on the show, right? But here's the
going.
latest. Hold your hat down. What if it's Evelyn's baby and it was Evelyn and Colton that took him to the pond because he couldn't be raised in that time with Evelyn or something?
Nick is Evelyn's baby.
Yeah. Think of it. They're both blonde. They both have that free wandering spirit. They both want to just be free and travel around and, not be tied down to things. Just that
Buy
happy-go-lucky
that.
type. You know what I mean? They have the same personality. So, but just think about that for a minute.
Put a pin in that one.
Yeah. But get to your questions with Nick. I will
Okay,
say
I mean that I'm glad that you went first because my questions for all of this are like, what is the purpose for bringing this character back? He is so immature. He is so like Elliot's true north. Based on what? What like guidance and like advice or anything is he providing other than like comedic relief in this episode?
Yeah.
that's
You
huge.
know?
I think
So
that's
like
huge.
if there's a plot line developing or like that will be connected that like gives him more purpose, that'll make me feel so much better because every time he was in this episode, I was like, shut up.
Yeah,
I-
that bothered me because
I-
he's one of my favorites. I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go.
Something worthy of saying because I'm just here to complain. I love him. He was always my favorite, but yeah, I'm like, don't come back if you're just gonna be this type of character. Like you're just here to like be humorous, but then sorry, the lines aren't that funny. Like I like the one nod to like the 90s with Alice or whatever, but it's like leave it. After one, we're good. Or he got the two to sing at the thing. Love the song. But that was also weird. I have a critique about that too because they sang the song before Kat even found out that Elliot kissed Emma. So it really kind of lacked depth, their performance, and they were like so into it and like feeling awkward, but it was just like, wait, shouldn't we sing this after something has happened and feels
Or is
really
that just reflective of all the tension that's already there?
right? I don't know. That like just some things, the whole thing, I don't know. The karaoke, it fixes everything. Like I just kind of like, I don't think I need this.
I
I
think
want to see his role evolve though, and like have that.
So cheesy.
I
Yeah.
think the whole cat singing that song and acting that way is, like you said, it's reflective of their current situation. But I think in her mind, she's thinking, I'm lusting after Thomas, Susanna, I'm worried about her. I want to nuzzle her neck again. I love her, blah, blah, blah. And at the same time,
I
Elliot's
don't want
thinking,
to
I
know.
kissed Emma. I should tell her. I haven't told her yet. So they're both wrestling with these
Yes,
things.
wrestling.
Yeah.
And that led to that song being more dramatic, I think. Now, Nick, I have to defend him because everybody, I like it because not everybody on the show has to be a serious, deep plot line and it's a bit of relief from
Yeah.
some of this. It just kind of
Refreshing.
takes you away from it a little bit. Like the whole thing. I know it was corny as heck, but I love that line when he's Cass Kendra go jump in the pond. Can I watch? Like he
That
wanted to
was really
see it
funny.
happen,
That was good.
Include him, get him involved,
Right.
something.
These are the little things that I
Give him
think
purpose.
there is no other character like this in the show. Everybody is so serious and
True.
oh, I got to do this. The pond wants me to do that, and oh, do I love? Does she love me?
Yeah.
It's just kind of a nice breakup of these emotions all the time.
Love
Fair.
it.
And
Also help me get
it
somewhere.
can be corny and it can be a little juvenile, right? But I think it's going to lead into something, especially when we find out who Claire is.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a huge
That's in my
up.
mind. I'm just waiting for Claire something like once he does move back, assuming that's still going to happen, like something will start going. But when I'm so desperate for answers and clues and tell me who all these people are, when he comes in with his jokes, I'm like, now is not the time, Nick. I need this show to be
See,
filled
and
with answers. But
you're
I
the
love
viewer who
him.
needs it the most. You need to break this tension a little bit of needing to find everything out and who this person is and what's this story.
Yeah.
We'll break it
Yeah.
up a little bit. Have a little fun.
Sure.
Shout out
I
Claire
want jokes
Danes. I
while
mean,
we're figuring things out. Like, okay, let's take Nick to the pond. And then he's like, oh, I know this random thing. Ha 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 ha. And then we're like, oh my God, thanks for being here. I don't know. I want him to feel valuable and I can't get over it.
I
So,
think there's a lot more to the Elliot Nick relationship that growing up they just didn't show us as
yeah.
teens, that they were together a lot and they helped each other out with things.
Yeah.
And that
Elliot
he
obviously
helped him let
struggled.
loose and be a part of the friend group. Like, I feel like without Nick, he probably wouldn't have been like a friend of them. It would have just been like, oh, he's our neighbor and whatever. I don't know. It made them more of a friend group. So I
I,
just,
I
uh,
think with his wandering too, I think Nick needs that. I think he's looking for it. If you notice, he wears the same sweater, the same leather jacket that he wore in the 90s. He's not letting go of this friend group. I think
mm,
he's really reaching out for it, even with Claire in his
There's some
life,
depth.
who we haven't
Yes.
seen. So he's holding on to that. And
mhm.
I think that's really starting to show.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But
Another
anyways,
question I
yeah,
had was, what was the purpose of all the Watergate news being mentioned throughout the 70s in this episode?
Yeah.
I was I was getting so tired of that. That was really bugging me. I think they were really pushing, unless there's something more that we don't know yet, but they were really pushing that, I thought, just to remind us of when it was and that it's actually like to show, hey, current events that are happening during that time. But when I think it was Colton made the line about if you can't trust the president of the free world,
Yeah.
like please do not bring any politics into the show. None.
Don't,
We
yes.
don't need it and we don't want it. There's already enough divide as there is. Leave it out. Please. I'm begging if the writers are listening to this, don't. Please don't. That's all I ask. But you're right. I noticed it too, and I thought, There's the worry.
multiple
Why is
times
it?
throughout the episode.
Yeah. I don't know.
That was
Unless they're hinting at the characters themselves kind of doing that subterfuge and lying and sneaking around and, there's an undertone there, keeping
Yeah.
secrets and spying on people and finding things out.
yeah.
They
I
could be
think
going
it's
down that road. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of knowledge on the topic, but I like to think that there's more to it than just
Yeah.
reminding you of the era we're in or whatever. Like that wasn't enough. And it came back multiple times.
Yeah.
I had jotted down another thing to go back to Casey, and this comes back to the whole like Sam Bishop is not Sam Bishop. I had it written down that when Alice brought up to Casey, like, so Sam, it was Sam Bishop that you were working with last summer, right? And Casey responds, yeah, Sam. My
She
family
was
needs some help, blah, 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 blah. Like there
right.
was such an intentional delay and like
So I took that as she was shocked to hear the name Bishop, like she
mm,
knows him by a different name.
it's not Bishop. Yes, it's Sam, but no, it's not. Okay.
Right. And it took her a second to like, wait, were you talking about? Oh, Sam. Okay. Sam Goodwin, Landry, Augustine, whoever,
Totally goes towards that
Right.
theory.
But I took
Also,
that
as
as she
well.
really like, what, who? You know,
Mhm.
Right. And then when Casey says, like, again, just looking back, I already said this, but like the Landrys did so much for me. What?
Mhm.
what did they do?
What? And
When?
who?
But we don't get any answers as Casey runs away with Kat's engagement ring around their neck and dives into the pond. Casey! And we're left on a cliffhanger.
I know. I'm like,
Keeps coming back though, doesn't it?
So I am all theoried out. I am just ready. How many episodes do we have left? 2?
Great.
There's 3 in the sea. Okay. We have 3 more left. I am so theoried out.
I haven't had a theory in weeks. Mine have
I
just
just
been
want
jokes if I said
answers.
anything. Yeah.
Kendra's just so upset she's not getting answers. I don't even want to theorize. I just want answers.
Do you have any theories left that you haven't tapped into yet, Sven?
No, I do have one quick shout out also to Max, where I don't know where he's going, what they're doing with this guy, because we mentioned how he was close to Evelyn. Elliot said that.
Yeah.
And he's out of nowhere stuck up for Alice and said she did great on the project when she ran out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so are they trying to make him like show a different side of him
Yeah.
that
Like
we're
definitely
not
feels
seeing
bad.
yet?
Like Alice ran out because she was crying.
Because
Right.
once again, she was told not to meddle in people's lives. And I think that probably, I was like, why is she crying? And I was like, oh, wait, that's probably difficult after grandma
This
just
is
got
bigger than that.
murdered.
Yeah.
Right.
And then now Max, and it's just like, what can I do?
But then also told, like, you don't know anything about this person who, quite honestly, has been her best friend this
Yeah.
year.
That is her best friend, right? Yeah. Yeah, it did.
Poor Alice, man.
For Alice. Yeah, we didn't talk much about her, but I did think, I mean, Evie/Evelyn is still such a mystery. Haven't had any answers about that, about her adjustment from being free spirit, beautiful teenager to whatever they're painting her as an adult.
Right. Also, like, how is Max able to be like so close to his
Yeah.
mother?
So I
If
wonder,
she
like,
was more of like a recluse, like locked in her tower, you know?
When he
ever
said he
heard of
wasn't even
him?
raised in Port Haven.
Yeah.
You just
So
visit. Because I mean,
something's going on.
you can still be close without being close in proximity. Like you can have some form of relationship. But I will say it did get me interested. I was like, oh, if you like Evelyn, then that might be good because I like Evelyn. So
Is that what brings those two together?
yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
But I see him in a little bit of a different light now, a little more positive. but still, I don't trust him as far as I can throw him.
And also one more note, when Alice showed up to Evelyn's house in the attic with Colton, remember they're like, oh, Alice is here. 2 seconds later, I gotta go. My mom's waiting. What?
Did he just get here?
What? How do you keep doing that? And then Casey does the same thing at the point. It's just like, oh, I gotta go. How did she
Mhm.
not click? Hey, that's how I act. That's what I do.
Yeah.
He's going to jump in the pond, you know. They keep having these characters show up for 2 minutes and then, oh, I gotta go.
After long periods of not
Right.
being there.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
nobody's catching on to this yet. But
And
it's kind of
also when
funny.
she's like, oh, my mom wants me for dinner, I'd be like, oh, that lady in the painting?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Like when Evie first found the painting, it was like, I recognize this person. Like, who is this? And then Alice is like, my mom needs me for dinner. That would click in my head, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that lady that you were bickering with on camera at Coyle's.
Right.
Like, oh, but
Oh
whatever.
my gosh, you're right. Wait, Kat has been back in this time in the 70s.
I
Yeah.
know her. Like, she's just walking around multiple times. Like,
Stranger danger over
or
there.
like if Jasper sees this painting, he'll be like, oh my God,
It's
it's
my girl.
yeah.
All right. So next week, let's cross our fingers for some more answers.
Give me answers.
We need them.
We
What
might
about-
get a couple, but I feel we're gonna now start to the big cliffhanger build up for the end of the season.
Sure.
Like we've just got little things now. Now they're gonna start tying them together and then build to
Yes,
that
I'm
big.
ready. I'm ready.
I'm okay with a big cliffhanger if some things get tied up and it's just one thing that I'm left like big shocker or whatever. Like if it's a big thing, I don't want these casual little things still floating in the air.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, fingers crossed. The answers and the ties would get tied up sooner than later because you guys, if we wrote down the things that are loose at this point, we'd have more notes than Sven has theories jotted down
I'm
on
not
his
even gonna
I'm gonna
get
say
into
that's your
that.
homework. That's your
pages
homework.
and pages and pages.
So many.
All right. Thank you to everybody who likes and comments and subscribes. It's really
One
fun
quick-
to see things grow. So keep it up. We see you.
One quick announcement. Next week, we are hoping to record a short episode Friday evening and look for that either late Friday night or early Saturday.
Yeah.
I've got some traveling of my own to do, so we
In the
won't be able to
pond?
keep our own same schedule.
What decade are you going to?
I'm going to the big pond,
Ooh.
the Atlantic, so I'm going to be gone for a few, so we won't have the same schedule, and we hope to keep next week short and sweet.
But who are we kidding?
We were
Yeah.
hoping to do that tonight, so we know how that goes. So
All right. Later, ponders.
goodbye.